Ratatouille is one of those dishes that always tastes better the next day because chemical reactions continue to enhance flavors overnight, producing additional flavor molecules and releasing more umami compounds from the structure of the ingredients. And ratatouille easily keeps for over a week in your refrigerator, so making your ratatouille in advance and reheating it when it's time to serve is not only easy, but you have a better tasting ratatouille. Bring a pot of water to a rolling boil and using a small knife, remove the eye of 6 medium-sized tomatoes. Blanch the tomatoes for 1 minute in the boiling water, and when the minute is up, remove the tomatoes. Then, using a small knife again, peel the skin off the tomatoes, starting from the eye and peeling towards the other side. When all the skin has been removed, roughly cut up the tomatoes into smaller pieces and set them aside in a small bowl or container. Heat a wide, heavy bottom pot over medium heat with some extra virgin olive oil. While that's heating up, peel and dice 2 medium-sized onions. It doesn't really matter if you choose to use red, white or yellow onions. There is a small difference in the final taste, but it's too negligible to concern yourself with it. Add the diced onions to the heated olive oil and sauté until the onions turn sweet and translucent, which usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes. While that's going, peel and slice a head of garlic and add it to the onions to sauté. With this red bell pepper and all the other vegetables that follow, it is advisable to wash them before prepping. After washing, remove the seeds from the bell pepper. Red or yellow bell peppers are preferable over green bell peppers for this recipe, but feel free to use green if the other colors are not available to you locally. Cut the pepper into rough, small 1-inch size pieces and add it to the pot to sauté. Moving on to the zucchini, cut it into similar sized pieces as the peppers. Although not necessary, I prefer removing and discarding the city core of the zucchini, as that gets kind of watery when cooked and it releases substantially more moisture. It may also add a hint of unwanted bitterness to the ratatouille. Once that's done, add the zucchini to the pot and continue sautéing as you move on to cutting the eggplant. Break it down into inch-sized cubes, similar to the zucchini and the bell pepper, and add it to the pot to sauté. As with the onions, the variety of eggplant you use is quite insignificant to the end result, so just use whatever is available to you locally, but avoid using the green or Thai varieties of eggplants and stick to only the purple varieties. At this stage, add some salt and cracked black pepper. Apart from seasoning the ratatouille, the salt will help draw out moisture from the vegetables as they cook. Then add the fresh tomatoes. Give it a couple of tosses and add canned crushed tomatoes. I say canned, but as you can see, the tomatoes I'm using comes from a Tetra Pak, but I believe you get what I mean. If you can't get canned crushed tomatoes locally, you can use canned diced tomatoes or even canned whole tomatoes. However, if you're using canned whole tomatoes, it would be a good idea to pop them in a blender or food processor to give them a few quick pulses to break them out before adding them to the ratatouille. While that's coming up to a simmer, make a cartouche by folding a piece of parchment or baking paper in half. And then again in half, and again, and then again, and finally once again in half until it becomes a narrow triangle. Trim the wider end in a curved shape with a pair of kitchen shears at an estimated length that is about similar to the radius of the pot you're cooking with. Then cut off about 1 inch from the narrow end. Open up the cartouche and lay it on top of the ratatouille, pressing it gently to get as much surface area in contact with the ratatouille as possible. Using a cartouche instead of a regular pot lid allows for some evaporation while preventing the surface of the stew from drying out and forming an unwanted skin. Now, bring the heat down to low and let the ratatouille stew until all the vegetables are soft and tender, usually taking about an hour to 90 minutes. You can keep going for longer if you want your ratatouille vegetables to be even softer. Once all the vegetables have softened, they are good to serve, but as mentioned before, keeping your ratatouille overnight before serving will give it the opportunity for more umami flavor to develop for an even better taste. Thanks for watching folks, and see you next time. Cheers!